This is J2O, aka Kinetic, back with Season 10, the Grand Finals. And you see my opponent's stats here. Actually, it's probably the closest matchup I've had to date, other than the loss I've taken. And he's pretty close. He actually has more Zetas and more Gear 11 and 12 characters. You'll see here the strategy he seems to go with is he kept all of his primary meta teams for offense, which is exactly the same strategy that I went with. And I did have the benefit of him having already attacked me coming into this battle, and that did benefit me because I knew I had a target because he cleared my entire board already, and he had 1501, and so I knew I had to beat 1501. So I went into these fights knowing that I had to maximize the point gains I got. The strategy is entirely different. It's no longer just beating the teams. I knew I'd beat the teams. But it was trying to get the most points out of every battle as possible. Because there could have been one. I definitely didn't want to fail, so I couldn't undershoot too much. But you see here, I decided to take JTR against his first order team, and that was, obviously JTR is a great counter for that. And I did run C3PO. I ran C3PO because I ran CLS on defense. I tend to run C3PO with CLS typically, but since I ran them on defense with Chase, I had C3PO available, and so here he is. I don't really like C3PO as much with JTR, but it does give you a little bit more speed because of the droid factor with BB-8. But it works. It's still powerful. With R2 being a rebel as well, he can get additional exposes, so you can really rack up the damage pretty good for this team. And I'm clearing it out relatively quickly. I'm just trying to manage. I'm trying to kind of wait and see if I can get full protection back on BB-8. You see there, it's coming up quickly. Sorry, I got my computer ramping up there. But yeah, I'm gonna clean these guys up pretty quick. He did take. I kept thinking maybe there was something on the back line. Maybe he was hiding his strong teams. I thought that was a possibility. I did leave some pretty tough teams on defense though, and he was able to do quite well against them. So I kind of went in thinking that he kept all of his meta. The one disadvantage he had is he did not have a Darth Revan. That was the major. He had more Gear 12s, more Gear 11s, more Zetas. Comparable mods, but he did not have a Darth Revan, so that gave me one powerhouse offensive team to go after him with. And you see here, I'm trying to buy time and see if I can get that protection up, and bloody R2 comes in and hits like a truck. So I got 60 banners there. I could have got 61 potentially if I would have had full protection. That's okay though, that's not bad. His Ewoks, he actually had them really well modded. He had Poplu well modded enough that I think with the 25% increase to speed, he was sitting around 230, 240 in that range. So I knew I wanted to take in Palpatine, but I needed to kind of buff my Palpatine team. And so I decided to go ahead and use Thrawn and Scion here. And I did run 4. You see here, I'm trying to decide who to fracture. I decided that obviously the Daze from Logray is going to be the most dangerous thing that we could deal with. So I did fracture him. And the Terminator train just really never gets going, which is exactly why you run Emperor Palpatine against Ewoks. It was probably the safest team I could get together. I really don't like breaking the trio up. But from this perspective, again, I was trying to maximize points as much as possible, and that's the best way to do it. Or at least that was the best way I thought I could do it. So you see here, really it's just a matter of time. I'm trying to make good decisions, and I'm trying to keep everybody clean as far as protection and health. And see, I'm not able to accomplish that with Emperor Palpatine. I probably should have fractured there and killed Poplu, and tried to see if I could get another turn for Thrawn. It doesn't look like it would have. It looks like Vader would have gone before him, so I don't think it mattered. I think 60 was the most I was going to get out of that. And so we do see his first backline, and it's going to be Rogue One. A relatively solid Rogue One. The POW, I think, is who he had. Wasn't terribly well geared, but so I did take Revan. I went ahead and decided to use Revan based on the fact that I saw Rogue One back there. I wanted to have a clean win against this team, and I figured they would be a defensive powerhouse. And actually, his Kenobi with Barris, that's shockingly pretty dangerous. I'm surprised at how tanky his Kenobi is. I don't remember the mods actually on him. I didn't even research. I assumed that I'd have no issue. But with Barris there, it definitely makes it a challenge to get him down. But as soon as I killed Anakin, I knew there was no teeth, and so it was just a matter of time. I think in hindsight, my strategy might have been to target Barris and to potentially Zerg her down as much as I could. Like right here, I could have targeted her and put the buff immunity and kept crit immunity off of her. And that probably would have made Kenobi a little easier to kill. But it ultimately doesn't make much of a difference. I'm able to finally get through him here after Yoda takes a whole bunch of attempts. I guess the drawback here too is I didn't have Barris to buff Yoda, and those buffs, are obviously going to do significant damage, significantly more damage. But as soon as he gets offense up and penetration up, he is able to take Kenobi out, and from there, it's relatively simple. This is a tough team, though. I see why he did put this on defense. I see it doesn't really sacrifice much from him. I don't know if I would. I mean, it's whatever. You can use these guys pretty easily. You don't lose a lot on offense. So there we do take 62. So we were able to go full protection, full health with only 3 units. And then he has this team, Zal team, and I was able to use Barris to create basically a new team, because I have Zeta Barris, and she kind of really does empower weaker Jedi, Gear 9, Gear 10. You can completely make a separate team if you're able to break it up. In this case, I assumed that he did not have Revan on the backline, and if he did, I had Darth Revan to counter it. And so I didn't have a problem using Revan, and I don't have a problem using Bastila. So I'm just going to make sure I clean this team up. I do run 4. Maybe I didn't need to run 4, but I didn't want to underestimate this team. I just want to make sure I cleaned it well. I had done well on the teams that I was really concerned about. And so I knew I also had, again, Darth Revan in my pockets for the backline. So you'll see it's not a great team. It doesn't have a lot of teeth, especially compared to the team I threw at it. It's just, it's not a really fair comparison. But I do see why he puts Zal on defense. I like Zal. I like Zal with the leftover Sith. I think it's a certain, it's like a gate. You have to have a certain team capability to get past it. If you don't, then it can stop you. It can, you're not going to grind it down with Gear 8s over and over again. So I decided to run the last team on his line there so he's got Rogue One and he's got Imperial Troopers on the back line, and I'm gonna use Darth Revan. No reason to sit on him anymore. I'm gonna go ahead and just take the 3. I wasn't sure. I don't know. Darth Revan was Gear 12, and I was able to remod him just before this Grand Arena. I would have liked to use him on defense, but I didn't have a lot of comfort in what defense to run with him. And my Sith Empire, Sith Assassin, and Sith Trooper are not quite there yet. So I figured offense guarantees me a win. It gives me the opportunity to put Jedi Revan on defense. And so it really does seem like it makes a difference here in this fight, because it gives me one powerhouse offensive team that I'm guaranteed now to get an easy, you see this, it's 3 moves, and that entire team is just toast. And that's full banners, 62 banners. So that I'm really happy with that. That was a very clean. Possibly should have used them here, but I decided to take my tray left over. As soon as I saw Rogue One, I knew I wanted to use Wampa, but I wasn't sure if I wanted to run Rex lead Wampa. If I would have had Grandmaster Yoda, or I'm sorry, not Grandmaster Yoda, but Hoda, Hermit Yoda. If I would have had him available and I had not used him previously on a Bastila team, I probably would have ran Rex, Wampa, and him. So at this point I'm like, okay, now I know I just need to clear. I know if I clear, I'm going to beat him on points. I need to one-shot it. I think even if I didn't one-shot it, I still would have been okay as long as I could clear it. But I didn't want to mess around. I just wanted to go in there and make sure I had a team that, you know, I knew Nihilus, if this team was the tankiest team in the world, Nihilus was going to be able to incinerate him over time. So it's an interesting team, you know. It's definitely not a common comp, but it's the best out available. And again, I didn't want to screw around. I'm really conservative here. This is the finals. One of the best matchups I've faced on paper, aside from the one loss I have. And so I wasn't going to make the same mistakes I made in that loss, where I actually missed on a frontline team and it cost me. And I was able to successfully do that, at least to the back line here. You know, see me kind of finish this up and confirm that. But it was a good challenge. You know, it's an interesting game, this is, because it's not about the teams anymore. It's about what you know you can get away with. So you kind of have to gauge and judge appropriately. You know, like I knew I was going to clear his board. It wasn't a matter of whether I would or wouldn't. It was a matter of how well I did it. And so, you know, that adds a little bit of flavor to the game, at least from the past matches I've shown here. You know, I didn't have quite that level. So you see there, I go ahead and clear. I clear his board. And there we go. It takes me to 1562 over 1501. That's good. That's, you know, I'll show you where he slipped up. So we have First Order and Imperial Troopers on defense, and they both got one shot. My fast boss is on the back line, and he did have something saved for that. But here's where he messed up, the Ewoks. He went in with something that he thought would be enough, probably turned me to load them, and everything he went in after that, unfortunately, got him. And, you know, so he one-shots everything else. Everything else he one-shot. And so, but the Ewoks, you know, it's probably good that he didn't use his big team, but he paid for it there. Thanks for watching. That was J2O, aka Kinetic, signing off.